Good evening, everyone. Welcome along to Online Darts, and here we are, Monday, 8 p.m. It is the live lounge, and we return for another bumper-packed 2 hours. As you can see, there is only two of us today because someone, Gob, has a Monday wedding, Boise. Where have we seen this before?
It's not me for a change. It is not me for a change, and I'm loving every single minute of it after all the abuse I got.
Gob's at a wedding. He's probably having a
However,
lovely
Phil,
time.
I'm sure we did. I'm sure we did say that the wedding was it about 3 o'clock, 3:30. So I'm a bit disappointed. I've not seen him appear in that slot at some point this evening. He's not doing anything else really. The best man speech surely is done.
Well, to be fair, with these Monday weddings, I get they happen, but surely the first thing that should be asked is, where's the power supply and what's the Wi-Fi code? No, God will be back next week. Our chat room is rammed already, which is good. Tommy is in. Happy birthday, Daniel. How we doing, Owen? Lendor is in. Rose, of course. Juanita is in. Good morning over there to you. Tommy, Kevin. Declan is in. Matthew, Jake. Philip is in and says, good evening as always. Hope you are good, mate. Gob is in the chat room. I nailed the speech. The signal is crap and it's Vodka Monday.
Not good enough, mate. Not good enough.
Yeah. Always Elvis is in. Big Johnny, who gets married on a Monday. Cheapskates Johnny, it's a lot cheaper. Jamie Kelling is in. Good to see JK Black playing well on the live league. After it was a really, really naff shoulder injury he had, but a running average of 90 across the 2 days. Super stuff, mate. Tough group that, but all good. Look, no tournaments to look back on or whatever, but there's plenty of talking points, Boise. First of all, apologies because we haven't really got any slides set up today because I was working on the live league today, directing, so a little bit behind, but we got a clip from Gezi, which is always good to speak to him. Spent 2 days with him last week, and it was good that he put the rumours to bed. We'll come on to that shortly. And again, chat room, get involved. Maybe a bit of an extended question time the last few weeks. We haven't had a real chance to dig into them, so maybe we'll get a good 20 minutes or so of questions in. But we will start with the news that broke last week, Boise. Peter Wright will miss the 3 Oceanic World Series events due to ill health.
I knew we were starting with the World Series. I didn't think we'd be starting with Peter Wright. First and foremost of this.
We'll build up gently because the other one will get contentious.
Yeah, just first and foremost, hopefully Peter Wright is all well. Obviously, he's taking the month away from the darting scene to miss out on the triple header. There's a lot of conversations about Peter Wright and his performance at Blackpool, but it was mainly around the change of darts and not about health. Hopefully, like I says, we'll see him return fit as a fiddle in September. For the Euro Tour, I'm guessing is the next one he'd be at. Is it Euro Tour in Trier?
Budapest. Is it Budapest first?
Budapest, yeah. Yeah, sorry, Trier was July, wasn't he? Budapest in September, yeah. Hopefully we'll see him return fit and back to the level he can be. It's a disappointment for him. And to be honest, it's probably the right replacement. I know there's probably one other name that could be in that mix who's going to be a large conversation tonight. But for me, it makes sense Dimitri being in there. Is one we've spoke about from a marketability point of view. He comes the top end of the list, speaks many different languages. Playing wise, he's a top player. He's won TV titles. So it made sense probably at the time, looking at it. He was probably the name who was top of that list to then go on and perform in Australia and New Zealand.
Yeah, look, like you said, there are probably a couple of names that were in the mix, but Dimitri, the obvious choice, he ticks an awful lot of boxes away from darts, which will be good. But yeah, it was an interesting one. Look, it's well documented that Peter Wright does need surgery on his gallbladder situation. He's openly spoken about that, but it's probably highlighted that these week-long tournaments, or 10 days by the time if you go deep in them, what impact they have on your body, health, and everything like that, Boise.
Yeah, well, it's a 10-day tournament, but before that we had 4 Pro Tours the week before or just before that, and we've spoke so much this year, probably more than any other year, about managing the time and managing the calendar. Peter Wright's someone who doesn't normally do that. He just plays in a lot. He's missed a couple this year, but he tends to normally play in everything. It's highlighting now that it's probably an impact of him playing in every tournament for the past however many years that the injuries or missing tournaments now are having an impact on that. So a change is needed. Calendars need to be managed better, but you've also got to make sure you're picking and choosing the right events to miss, because missing this one due to medical reasons is slightly different to another player who's missed the World Series events before, who's never been picked since. So it's just picking and choosing the events that you miss and making sure it doesn't have an impact. Financially is probably the best way to put it, because it's not a ranting. None of it's ranting. It's just how it has the impact on you financially. But like it says, hopefully Peter returns in September, and then it's about planning when he has that operation and what impact it has. Because we've seen with someone having an operation and him coming back and flying out the blocks afterwards at the match play. Obviously, it's completely different. It's just making sure you do it at the best time that doesn't have an impact on your rantings as such. But he's got a World Championship from January, so he's got that in the bank for quite a while, hasn't he?
Well, yeah, and look, the other one on this, look, the top guys, their appearance fee, I don't know them, but I'm guessing they are quite substantial to play in these World Series events. So to miss 3 of them and not turn your nose up, but decline that large chunk of money, you know, it's got to be quite bad.
Well, it'd be interesting if the decision was made from Peter that he wanted to miss all 3, because it's quite clear with the pits in Australia and New Zealand, it's the same players, and if conversations were more around missing 1, maybe 2, and it was an all or nothing, and then he's made that decision. It's obviously something we'll never know, because it would be a discussion with Peter, his wife, and PDC about that. But I don't think it's the worst thing for him, if I'm being honest, long term. I think him having a break is one of a couple of players we can talk about having that break, that I don't think it's the worst thing to happen.
Could completely agree. And like we say, speedy recovery to Peter Wright. Staying on the World Series, which way round are we going to do this? Right. Evening, Rob. Hope we are good.
It'd be unlike you, Phil, to be controversial. So whichever way you want, mate.
So the the automatic selections for the World Series finals came out today, and one glaring admission: yes, there are still 2 opportunities. They haven't named them all, but Boise, 1, were you very surprised? And 2, how unfortunate can he count himself that Danny Noppy is not on that list as of yet?
I have him above 5 players on that list. 5 players is where I would have put Noppy. them being Simon Whitlock and Damon Heta. I appreciate them being there, winning the World Tour, made sense. But I would have had them. I would have had Noppy above those two. I'd have had him above Leonard Dates. As much as I agree with Leonard Dates being in there, I would still have Leonard Dates in there, but Noppy would be above him on that list. I'd have him above Dirt van Duijvenbode. Yes, Dirt had a semi in Holland, but
final.
Really.
Noppy got to the semi-final. Dirt got to the final.
And the other one I'd have him above is Gary Anderson, who's only played in America and not knocked out in the quarterfinals. Am I right?
Copenhagen. Did he do Copenhagen? Yeah, he did.
Lost quarter semi. So obviously the pits ain't on my head. They've done in the World Series. Let's be honest. And I think they've picked Simon and Damon based on performing well over these three. The names. I just think to be UK Open champion, recent UK Open champion, just 5 months ago, less than 5 months ago, and not be in the World Series, I find it a very, very strange pick. The other players are there, Dimmy, Joe, and then obviously your top four in there. Fallon has played in all of them and has then just done up and picked up the match play. So that's where I would have put Noppy in my list if I knew that was coming out today. I just find it a bit very, very strange pick with a Utah Open finalist and someone who's playing very well. He played very well in Blackpool. He dropped off in his last game, but generally was very, very good.
Also, here's the bit I don't get, and it's something Philip said it is there as well. That we've got why are we doing the qualifiers? I get it may be the only place in the calendar to put them, but having the qualifiers before the final three events makes absolutely no sense.
Correct.
Because what happens now, obviously the press release we got today, there's two places to be confirmed. So if you're Danny Noppy,
that's the worst.
Do you go and qualify? Do you go and try and qualify on Saturday? Or do you risk it, go home and maybe rely on getting one of those places? I just don't get it. And the fact that look, I don't think this will happen, but for argument's sake, say two of Joe Cullen, Damon Heta and Simon Whitlock lose first round of all three of those World Series events down under, they'd have no points on the order of merit for the World Series, yet they're in.
I'd probably flip that another way. What about if one of the other Aussies who have not been picked go on and win one of those events?
Yeah,
and then are not in. Is that why the two are tapped? Maybe is that the decision for some? I just don't get the. Let's keep two back. Well, first of all, I don't know why the qualifiers before the events are over. First decision that I don't agree with. Secondly, you're keeping stuff back. Then it's similar to this Premier League argument of keeping something, only picking 9 players and waiting for something to potentially happen. When Noppy and there's probably one other, well, there is one other, who at the moment is penciled in by the PDC. We don't know who those two are to play at the World Series. They're waiting to see if anyone performs in these next three they've not picked to then put in. Do them two go to the qualifiers and just play and end that argument completely? And then if so, who's then next on their list? How far does that list go down?
I was saying, what happens if Noppy qualifies on Saturday and then they give him a spot anyway?
It's honestly from a lot of praise that we've gave them this year, from the first year of it sort of all being back together and how the tournaments have done. Yes, we've had an awful lot of tournaments, which is good for us, but I just find this announcement just very, very strange. First of all, the qualifier, when I dropped it into our group on, was it Tuesday or Wednesday last week that there was a qualifier, and I think Dob reacted to, that can't be right. What event's that for? Yeah. And I was like, no, it's actually the qualifier 3 and days before the 3 events even take place. It's just mental. I had to double check it. I didn't think it was.
Well, look, I get the calendar is a little bit all over the place because they didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know if Australia was going to happen this year. So, look, I understand that this weekend is probably the only slot in the calendar that you could do the qualifier, but it still doesn't sit particularly right. Also, another point, but just quickly, Laura is in. Good evening, Maisie. Hope you are good. The other thing is, tell me Danny Noppy won't get a Premier League place without telling me Danny Noppy won't get a Premier League place.
They've set a precedent with Rob Cross. That all started last year with. And again, look, if this is saying it Noppy is in the form between now and the end of next January, because we're including the Masters in that, to go on and pick up another TV title. And then there can't be an argument about it. And he's got to be. However, we've seen the European Championship be dropped down the list for the Masters when it comes to a Premier League pit. If that's then going to happen with the UK Open, which probably in most people's conversations around where tournaments rank, it's probably in the top four, probably might be around that 5th, 6th place, depending on where you put
I'd say it would be most people's top 5.
Yeah, it's on the brink of being 5th, maybe 6th, depending on certain tournaments for certain people. The fact then you'd be moving the Masters up above that if that was to happen. I just find it mental. It's not as if it's a lucky run that someone's had, and I know they're all top players, to go on and win the Open. He's playing some amazing stuff this year. I am in shock that he's not in the World Series pits. I would like to think he's one of those two. And this debate doesn't matter at all because he's picked in there at the end of August. But I just find it strange you'd make him wait. And it'll be interesting to see if he goes and plays in the qualifiers. I would expect him to.
Yeah, look,
wouldn't you?
You can't take the risk, can you? Yeah, look, although you may think you should be in and you've done enough to be in, we've seen by previous things you can't bank on getting a pick. You have to just go and get the job done yourself. You might not want to, you might not like the fact that you have to, but just go and get the job done in that qualifier. There's obviously some great talent in there, but you just have to go and get it done.
Yeah, and we see on the Pro Tour, and we'll see when we preview it looking into this week, which is hard to do before a draw is made, but how difficult these draws are, and that you can easily get found out in the first round. And with the qualifiers, you ain't got a second chance. You've not got another one the next day, especially for the World Series. So if it is going to be a big day for Noppy to get through, but like says, it feels like he's one of those two, and they're probably just keeping up back to see if anyone does what Damon Heta done a few years back and goes on and lifts a World Series from sort of nowhere.
Yeah, a lot of love for Noppy in the chat room. And that was just us two today. Gob's at a wedding, unfortunately. So it's just me and Boise keeping you company for the next few hours. As I say, a lot of love for Noppy in the chat room. Look, I like Danny Noppy. Look, a few years ago, he was the one that we weren't convinced that maybe was going to kick on, but he's settled, and look, he's one of the toughest drawers around right now. So if he's not in there,
yeah,
there will be a lot of happy seats or a lot of happy players if he's not there, that's for sure.
Yeah, no disrespect to the players who I said who was below him in sort of the order of betting order. And like it says, 4 out of them 5 I would have still had as my picks in the World Series qualifier at this tournament points. Probably all 5 if I could add them 2 spaces.
Yeah.
But he's one of the, if you look outside the top 4, even probably as part of that, with a couple of those in form, Noppy's one you want to avoid at all circumstances. So for him not to be in a tournament where there's a lot of money to be made, yes, there's no ranking in the World Series, I'm right.
It's not ranking, it's
no
just
ranking.
free money.
It's invitational, yeah. Free hit, but a lot of money to be made in there. So to not have Noppy early on would be great to quite a few of those players.
Yeah. Philip, yes, I think the top 8 are from the World Series order of merit will be the 8 seeds. That's how it normally is. So, yeah. I'd go with that one. But, yeah, so some big surprises dropped today, Boise. That's for sure. And for those that don't know, the players that are confirmed for the AFAS Arena or the AFAS Live in Amsterdam are Gerwyn Price, Peter Wright, Michael Van Gerwen, Michael Smith, James Wade, Fallon Sherrock, Johnny Clayton, Gary Anderson, Dimitri Van den Berg, Joe Cullen, Damon Hetta, Simon Whitlock, Dirk Van Duvenbode, and Leonard Gates are the ones that are confirmed. How are we doing, Birdie Boy? Hope you are good.
Phil, from a positive point from the pits, I'm a huge fan of Leonard Gates winning there. I know we had him in my 5 to be below Noppy, but Noppy's won UK Open. But I'm a huge fan of this is a World Series, what people need to remember. So I'm a huge fan of Leonard Gates being in that pit. And I think he fully deserves his chance to play at the World Series of Darts.
To be fair, Rob Owen makes quite a good point here. He says, if the World Series is non-ranked, why don't they allow Challenge Tour players to qualify anymore? I would guess it's because it would be too long a day. That would be my guess, Rob, that it's just too long.
But I wouldn't be opposed to open up one spot for them. You've got 8 tour holders who qualify.
I'm guessing the theory is that you'd have to put them all, the Pro Tour players and the Challenge Tour players, all in one.
If you've got 2 places still to be confirmed, one of those is given to another invited player, and then one is given to a calendar winner, not an invitational day. Then it'd be a separate criteria instead of going in with the PDC players. I wouldn't be opposed to that.
No, look, I don't dislike it. I just don't see it happening. I know Matty Edgar's spoken openly about the Challenge Tour not being what it should be in terms of it doesn't relate to the Pro Tour and stuff like that. But so look, I don't dislike it, but I just don't really see it happening. It'd be nice, but there we have it. So the qualifier for the World Series Finals takes place on Saturday at the Barnsley Metrodome. The other thing on that, Boise, before we move on, the interesting thing for me is that's at the end of what could be a long day or a long week for those players. The ones that have to play in the Euro Tour qualifier Tuesday, 3 Pro Tours, then that. We saw at Q School and the Euro Tour when the Euro Tour qualifier was at the end of the block of Pro Tours, there was some shady results and some shady performances where they're all knackered.
Yeah, I'm just looking through the calendar this year to see how many of the qualifiers have actually been after. Because obviously the one this week's before, the Euro Tour qualifiers before, but the World Series events after. I always find them a bit strange. It's a bit like the Grand Slam qualifiers. I always find it a bit strange because it's not always your most informed players as of when they put that qualifier. This will be the same. We'll have a few names come through. We're probably not expecting to come through because they have maybe had a few first round and second round exits throughout the week and just feel that bit more pressure on Saturday to come through. So we'll certainly see a couple of surprise names for me in that 8. But hopefully, I know some people are commenting on who they like to see playing and Dirts in that and Aspinall's in that. But I'm just looking at this pitch solely on performance of one player, and someone who lifts a TV title not being picked, I just find astonishing. Absolutely astonishing.
Owen says, Phil, I thought once you won a TV tournament, you were in the Premier League. Yeah, used that was the unwritten rule, but since they've scaled it down to 8, Rob Cross missed out this year. So it's kind of they've broken that myth, that rule and whatever. So
I'm not convinced that'd be the case anyway. They've had 14 picks for the World Series and they ain't put him in that. So how many do they need to be in the Premier League for Noppy to be in?
Yeah. So yeah, look, that's interesting. That's the news that dropped for the World Series finals today. It was interesting to say the least. Whilst we're staying on Euro in themes, we'll go to the other news that broke today. A new 5-year deal for PDC Europe to stay as the promoter, the franchise, I'll call it, for the PDC in continental Europe. Very good news, boys. See that the Euro Tour continues to go from strength to strength, and I've got a funny feeling, may not be next year, maybe the year after, depending on the calendar or how far ahead they are of planning it. But I genuinely think we may see more Pro Tours midweek to free up weekends to squash in another couple of Euro Tours.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised with that. I guess the one thing with me when it comes to the Euro Tour is just how where we send it. What we don't want to see is having 70%, and I know it's easy for me to say, having 70% of the tournaments taking place in Germany. I feel like for it to expand further, I'd like to see another country or two added to that list. Maybe not straight away. Mason's put me off with that time. Maybe not straight away, but I think it needs to be expanded. We spoke about the World Cup and seeing certain countries in that we didn't see, and maybe looking at those as opportunities of expanding the Euro Tour into different countries, because we know it works in certain places. And I'm not saying remove. Germany should still be the hotbed of where the Euro Tour takes place, and it should have a lot of tournaments there because we know it pulls in the crowds. But just some of the venues you've been to, Phil, and when we've had a new venue, it just, in some of the places, it just seems to have really taken off.
Yeah. Evening, mates. Hope you are good. Good seeing you this morning. Philip says, won't be next year, though, as that's already confirmed. Yeah, like I said, not saying next year, but the year after, I can certainly see things, Pro Tours going more midweek, which will cause more issues for players. Obviously, no doubt they'll enjoy them. But yeah, I can see more. I can see the Euro Tour going up to maybe 15, 16 events.
I guess the one thing it opens up is for a lot of tour card holders that not everyone thinks about, is a lot of tour card holders still have day-to-day jobs. So moving Pro Tours more to the midweek, how that will impact on players playing in more events. We talked about top players missing events like Peter Wright, Price missing the event here and there, but they're at the top echelon of those rankings. They can miss a Pro Tour or two and it not have an impact, or probably miss a few weeks like MVG and it don't have an impact. Difference is when you're fighting for that tour card, you need to be at every single one of these events. We see how important it is. We talked about that tour card race throughout the year, so it is important that they are playing in as many events as possible, and that might have an impact when they move to midweek, which I'm with you, I think they will do. Yeah,
absolutely. So that was that one. Pro Tour action does return, as we said earlier. Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, Players' Championships 22, 23 and 24 kick in. We'll give you who is out first of all. So in this block of Pro Tours, we will not see MVG, Johnny Clayton, Damon Heta, Zoran Lerchbacher, John Michael, Vladimir Anderson. Lewis will miss Players' Championship 23. Price will miss Players' Championship 24. So, with that, coming in, Scott Williams, Danny Van Tripp, Stephen Burton, Kenny Neons, Karel Sedlacek, Robert Owen will play in them all. David Pallett will play in Players' Championship 22 and 23. Jim McEwen, 23 and 24. And Jean Van Veen, someone that impressed very much on the Live League, will play in 24 as well. First of all, I've got a couple of points off this. One, Vladimir Anderson's post. Now, this is where I've got the issue with the sub-tours and everything like that. Vladimir, look, fair play to him. He's working out the best route for him to get to Ali Pali. He's got every right to do that. But that avenue should not be there as a tour card holder. So Vladimir Anderson has pulled out of this block of Players' Championships to prioritise playing on the Nordic and Baltic Tour so he can get to Ali Pali, Boise. That's not really how it should work, is it?
It's not how it should work. Then it's not a criticism of the player. We've had these discussions with Josh Wright, who is doing the right thing. If I was Vladimir Anderson, I'd probably be doing making the same decision that he's made.
Look, there's a flaw in the system. If you can exploit it for your benefit, you're going to.
100%. We've seen it quite often with different sort of tours. And for me, if you've got a tour card, you shouldn't be competing in any other tour that can get you onto getting prize money there. So you shouldn't be able to get to the World Championships any other way than by being a tour card holder, playing in the Players' Championships, playing in the tournaments that you qualify for on TV, and then your prize money and qualifying for your rankings. The fact that you could be 75th in the world, not play on Pro Tours to keep your tour card, go and qualify for somewhere else, then get your first or second round prize money and then keep your tour card, and then someone else who can't do that isn't right. So it actually has an impact on the players who can't go and play in those events. It needs to be changed. PDC definitely needs to look at it and make that change, because it's not fair on the other players who don't have that opportunity. And for me, once you're down to Q-Stall, that's it. You go to be a professional and to play on the professional tour. That sort of closes the doors to all those other opportunities around you. But you are competing weekly against the best in the world.
Yeah, and Philip says it in the chat room as well, and I'm pleased they have gone this way as well. Obviously, the CDC, you won't be able to do that next year. If you're a tour card holder, you then cannot go back and play the CDC tour events. I like that, and I wish the other tours would follow suit.
Why change one? What?
Because I spoke to Anthony and Peter about this. This was solely the CDC's decision, and the subsequent sub-tours are in charge of their own rules. So it was off the back. They've decided to do it for the good of their tour.
But the PDC are in charge of their tour and how that runs, and they have the agreement with these organisations of having someone qualify. They could surely override a different organisation and say, you can't have someone who currently plays on our tour.
Probably they could. I'm sure rule number 1 would come into effect if they wanted it.
Yeah, I don't agree with it. Talking about players, it would impact. It could potentially impact an American player who's sitting in that last place to keep a tour card, but someone else like Vladimir Anderson could go on and get into the World Championships and jump above that player. It just doesn't sit right with me at all. It just seems to be, like it says, one rule for one rule for another, and it just needs to be fixed.
Yeah, look, on these 3 Pro Tours, I'm quite surprised that the entries were as high as they were. There were a few players in there that I thought may not bother. Just go and have a complete rest, a complete break. You just come off the back of a brutal month, 6 weeks. A couple of Pro Tours isn't going to affect your ranking too much, or some, not at all. I was just a little bit surprised that maybe 1 or 2 more didn't swerve it.
Did he say Peter Wright was removed, or was Peter Wright playing in these before he has the month off?
He was banned to play. Whether he still plays or not, we don't know.
So I'm not as surprised. I expected it to be a full list. They've rotated a few. Like to understand Damon had to not been there. Obviously, he's already flew out to Australia, I believe. But they've got, for the players who are not playing World Series events, their next event will be Euro Tours early September. The majority of the top players will be playing in those. Darry Anderson won't be, but so Darry Anderson's next start would be the 16th of September, which is the World Series. For me, I expected a full field here, and then obviously the 5-6 weeks break, the 4-5 week break, depending on what you're playing in. Then I expected it to be a full field. I'm surprised that MVG Clayton's not playing it. I know obviously Clayton's done a couple of exhibitions recently. I'm surprised he's just not playing in these.
Johnny Clayton's flying to Australia early. He's flying this week to Australia. He's going on holiday first of all. Michael went straight on holiday after the match play. He's going on holiday. He went on holiday, then going straight to Australia. I spoke to him about it. It was the only chance he got to have any family time. Obviously, was in Blackpool, and then Australia is a month away. Then straight to a Euro Tour. So he went away. That was the only opportunity he had to go away with the family. That's why he's done it. The other interesting one as well is when the lists obviously came out, Dimitri Van den Berg wasn't in the World Series. So does he now pull out?
Yeah, quite possibly. There's still a week from when the last Pro Tour happens to the first event in Queensland. However,
I've seen their itineraries. There's a lot of media.
Yeah, so there's a week until the next throw a dart. I guess it is around that split of August has generally been a quiet month in darts in regards to Pro Tour and all your players playing. Like Michael's done, Dimmy was probably expecting to have a month at home. He's now going to be away for 3 weeks. He may then make that decision to stay with his family for the next week. And is the newborn in the family?
She must be 7-8 months old now, I think, his daughter.
Yeah. But 7-8 months, and then you're down away for 3 weeks. It can be a long time, obviously, away. So
of course, yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if Dimmy isn't in Barnsley, or if he is already over here before that announcement was made. He only plays in maybe 1 or 2, and then shoots off.
Yeah, I think a lot are flying out on Saturday and Sunday, I believe. In and around there, they're all flying out between Saturday and Sunday. I know Johnny's going early because he's taking the family and everything like that. That's why Gazzy's not playing the last one.
The one thing on Dimmy is Dimmy was one who had a huge drop from the match play. You got to think, obviously, he was defending a lot of money. He's dropped to 14th, so there's potential there that he could drop out to 16 going into the Worlds, depending on the back end of his year goes. He's now currently 14th in the world. So it's if he can take that risk of missing Pro Tour events. We know, obviously, he's going to be in the mix and he'll be back winning enough money. It's not a tour card sort of conversation, but you don't want to be outside that 16 going into the World Championships.
I'm just looking now. I'd be surprised if he was outside the 16. He's got quite a bump. Especially the fact he's in everything as well. Where you think...
Yeah, you'd expect.
Yeah, you'd expect where there's players in and around him that haven't qualified for the Grand Slam yet. Like, you think Jose de Sousa is defending winners' money, and he's not even qualified yet.
Mental.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. But the fact that Dimmy is, he's there, so it'll be interesting. But going back to the Pro Tour, it's an opportunity here for people outside the top. Look, there are a lot of big names missing. So if you're one that is on the fringes of the World Championship race, the Players' Championship race, or if you're fighting to keep your tour card, over the next 3 days, there could be big opportunities here for players.
Huge opportunities. We saw the run from Roby, obviously. Well, Brendan picked up a title, the last one. There's players in there when opportunities have come, and Stott Williams going and picking a title up only a couple of months back. You've got Jim McEwen coming in good form. You've got players who had a decent run, who lifted it on the match play. People like Nathan Aspinall, who've found performances. So there's certainly a lot of names in there, but there's also that mix of players who we still need to see something from this year. Glenn Durrant comes into that conversation. Devon comes into that conversation. Just on a response, for me, Chris Dobey comes into the conversation to see how he responds from his match play performance. Obviously, there's no worry in regards to generally his form's pretty good. But it's seen a response from some players who didn't actually hit those levels at Blackpool to see everything bounce back. And we know people like Dobey, we know people like Rids is another one. We know these players not only can bounce back and get a good win, can go on and win a Pro Tour. So it is going to be a very interesting Pro Tour from that angle to see where players can move themselves away from danger. Steve Beaton, another one in that mix. John Henderson. There's opportunities now. There's a few players who are missing from these, or I'd say better opportunities. Like I say, there's not weak players coming in when we're reeling off someone who's already picked up a Pro Tour. Jim McEwen, who's just done and won Champions Week on Live League 2 weeks still, then qualified at the seniors. He's playing some good stuff. So it's going to be an interesting 3 days.
Yeah, well, I'm just looking at the ones just outside the World Championship race at the moment. You've got Kevin Dukes just outside, Joe Mernon just outside. Jeffrey Deswan's in touching distance after a great run last year. Alan Souter not yet at the World. Rafferty not at the World yet. Beaton not there. Hendo has put himself back into contention. William O'Connor, Florian Hempel not there yet. Louis Williams not there yet. So that there's opportunities for these players to get themselves back in the mix.
Who would have thought, Phil, at this time through the year we'd be talking about Florian Hempel not being in the mix for the World Championship race? How he broke onto the PDC scene, you'd expect him to have confirmed his place by now, not sitting outside it.
Oh, completely. Yeah, it would be nuts. Luke Humphreys, Luke will be there in the Pro Tour, no doubt whatsoever. Look, I'm interested to see, like you say, the players that went to Blackpool and maybe didn't perform as they'd want. The ones that are quite vocal on social media, the two Newcastle lads that we've spoken about, Dobey and Rids, are quite open on social and were horrified with their match play. Look, Callan just didn't happen for him. That happens on stage. It's the pressure environment. Sometimes it doesn't happen. Dobey played fabulous for 10 legs. Is the thing, and then it never quite happened after that. I'm interested to see what happens.
Just looking through some of the names, like think of the run that Alan Souter had last year at the World Championships, who's sitting outside. Louis Williams, who's shot onto the scene, he's still outside. There's certainly a lot to play for, and for those players, this is a better opportunity because you've lost quite a few of your seeds. Do you know why? Have we heard anything why Lewis is only playing 2 of the 3?
I don't know. No, I haven't heard anything. I don't know is the answer.
I didn't know if you've got anything on socials.
No,
I
haven't seen it.
Because he's missing the middle one, isn't he?
Yeah. And to be fair, that kind of might work because look, if he's, I'm guessing he's playing the Euro Tour qualifier. So Euro Tour qualifier, Pro Tour, rest day, Pro Tour qualifier. That may not be a bad approach to have. Right, we're going to do this one next. And chat room, get involved. There was a rumour blew up from nowhere late last week about Gerwyn Price was not going to play in the 2023 Premier League. And it kind of took everyone back because it came from nowhere, but gathered a lot of momentum, Boise.
Yeah, just a little. It seemed to be just a few people putting it out on socials, not sure where it come from, but then everyone was jumping on it, retweeting it, putting their opinion on if it's a dud find or not a dud find. Is it people putting 2 and 2 together? Obviously, this was before Price spoke. We was talking about, is it people putting 2 and 2 together and letting, 200? Because he, for someone who's, I don't want to say brought onto the scene, but brought into that top echelon, and then he's now, winning multiple events, going deep, was ahead for a lot of the match play final just last week. Just hasn't had it his way with the Premier League, whether it be him not being able to play with COVID or his form when he's played in there. And I'm sure he'll be honest to say he probably should have took it a bit more serious this year with all the stuff that was happening around him. Whatever it is, there's a bit of a, it's ain't even a love-hate relationship with him in the Premier League so far. It's just hate between the two of them. But whether all those rumours come together and that started Gerwyn Price not being in the 2023 Premier League. But I know you've got a nice little clip for us.
Yeah, I was there with him this weekend for a couple of expos. We'll play the clip in a second. Good night out in Cardiff afterwards as well. Good fun with the boys. We'll play this. Evening, Niall. Hope you are good, my friend. So this is the Gezi clip, categorically denying the rumours.
I'm not sure who said that. I haven't said a word. So yeah, whoever said that, wherever it's come from, it's not true at all.
Yeah, no, because it's nice that we get a chance for you to put it out there because it came from nowhere and it was just like.
I haven't. This is literally. I don't do Twitter. I haven't seen it on Instagram, but my wife does a Twitter. But I haven't even seen it or heard of it. She hasn't mentioned anything to me. But yeah, news to me.
Yeah, no, it was a weird one. It came from kind of nowhere, so it was nice that you can put it to bed early doors and it's not hanging around or so to speak like that.
Whoever says that, like I said, no, it's a privilege to play in any tournament in the PDC, and it's a privilege to play in the PDC. It's the highest rank, though it's probably the pinnacle of the sport, apart from winning the World Championship. And obviously, it's nice to win ranking tournaments. But if you're part of the PDC Premier League, then that's every dart player's dream. So if I'm going to turn it down, it'd be for the right reason, not for any stupid reason or whatever. I don't know why anybody.
It's just said that it just come out that you're going to decline it and not play in the Premier League next year. There was no reasoning behind it.
No. Unless it was something wrong with me, then no, I would never turn it down. But I love playing darts. I love playing in the Premier League. If the format is still the way it is, then yeah, I'm not a fan of it. But I would never turn it on.
The big thing there is obviously in quashing the rumours first and foremost, but secondly that little line just right at the end where he just has a little subtlety that the current format and the approach, which maybe is where is part of when people come up with this rumour that Price wasn't going to play in the Premier League. That's part of where it might have come from. So I'm sure it would interview with you after the Premier League that he wasn't a fan of the format.
Oh no, he wasn't. And he's spoken to Matt Porter about the format, why he doesn't like it, and that as well. He's been open and honest about it. But look, commercially, it would be suicide for any player not to play in the Premier League if you're offered it.
It'd be a brave decision if he made that decision to not play in it to benefit himself in ranking events, and then went and picked up match play, World Championship, then it would potentially be justified. But it's a brave decision in the first place to make that call to say, I'm not going to play in the Premier League, when you have players like Luke Humphries, who talks about it all year round. And then you've got someone now dropping out of it. It would certainly be an interesting point, and I don't think it'd be one that you would be debating over one show. It'd probably be out throughout the whole Premier League. We'd be talking about a world champion who's currently world number one, not playing in what a lot of people call the second biggest event.
Well, as the Iceman said, it's the pinnacle outside winning the world's the Premier League.
Yeah, I'm never going to buy into that. I'm definitely never going to buy into that. But I'll tell you what, one thing, if this does change, he's saying it's come from absolutely nowhere, so he's heard nothing about it. If it does change, after making those statements, calling it the pinnacle outside of the World Championships, it'd be a strange move. I nearly swore then, but I've realised it's only 10-9. It'd be a very strange move.
Don't worry, we're not governed by the BBC. Jack was potty mouth last week, so it's fine. Tiz is in as well. Oi, oi, lad. Hope you are good. Yeah, see the end of September, Niall. Can't wait. There you go. Some spoiler alert. Niall's playing in the live league. But yeah, no, it was interesting from Gezi, and look, there's signs that he's getting back to that imperious form that won in the Worlds when he just looked irresistible. The back end of 2020, when he won the Slam, the World, and he just looked irresistible. Obviously, we were with him at the exhibitions at the weekend, and he was on fire. Him and Johnny Clayton got to the final of the one in Cardiff, 3-3, both averaging 107. They switched darts and played the last leg of each other's darts. Gezi went off 140, 134 ton with Johnny's darts.
It's easily forgotten about because of MVG's way of winning the match play and winning the match play with the operation and all that sort of thing. It is forgotten about that Gerwyn Price was leading that match for what, 85% of the day? And he was leading it by not playing. He was leading it by not playing well. Or when I say not playing well, he was averaging around 100, but he didn't seem himself. He didn't seem the normal Desi on stage. He didn't have that same persona that we've seen with him. But he was leading the match play for such a long time. He got to the final when we talked about no one really tipped MVG to down and win it. There wasn't that many who tipped Price. So
no.
The worrying thing is I think Michael said it in his interview on stage afterwards that them two are going to be up there again.
Oh, he sees Gezi as his biggest rival.
I can see that loads of times.
Michael sees Gezi as his biggest rival.
I think Desi sees Michael as his biggest rival as well. I think them two see each other as when they're on the top. The only one who probably consistently can break into that mix is Peter Wright, as we've seen over the previous years. Obviously, Johnny's just under that, but them two are going to have so many great finals over the years. They've not had a bad final yet, and there's not going to be one incoming anytime soon from the two because they do bring out the best in each other, especially over the London format. Yes, we might have one Premier League night or one Euro Tour where one of them wins 6-1 or whatever, whichever event it is, but on a big final, them two will always push each other all the way. I really think so.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Whitlock played in all 4 Pro Tours. So that was that one. Also, the Live League this week, week 1 of Stage 1. Robert Owen played some fabulous stuff on Saturday night. I know Tiz is in the chat room. He was covering it for us. And look, Robert Owen's up there, one of the best players not to have a tour card right now.
Yeah, he does it. It's not a surprise anymore when he performs on the Live League because he's done it every phase he's been in. We've seen it all year from him. The form he's in isn't. You see a couple of players who have a run to finals where he don't want to lift it, but with Robert Owen, he just always seems to be in that mix. He's always playing on the Saturday. It says I'm sure Tiz will pop up with his view on how good Robert Owen is. Obviously covering a lot of the Live League, but it's going to be one to watch going into next January.
Yeah. Oh, completely. He was absolutely sensational. Bob says, can you explain the new setup straight system for the online darts library champion? So it's 12 weeks, and then week 13 will be champion of champions. There's some I can't say too much because there's still some stuff to be announced and whatever. The players all know what's going on. There's just some stuff in the background that we need to do. But the new venue is taking shape as well. We'll be moving shortly. Exciting times for the live league. I know you've seen a few of the pictures, boys. See it. It looks good, decent, doesn't it?
Yeah, if you follow the live league like the rest of us do while we're still working from home, honestly, it's only going to bigger and better. If you don't follow it, I'm telling you, you soon need to start following it because the changes that's going to happen for me. I like the change to have the 12 weeks and then the champion of champions week in week 13. I think it's all for the better of it, and it's something that we've seen that I wasn't sure when it started how it would run, and it's just got bigger and bigger and bigger, and the changes that we're going to see over the coming months are going to make that go up a next step, and I'm looking forward to it. I know you are, because you give us updates all the time to tell us what's happening. So, like I says, we're fortunate enough to know changes that are coming that and just honestly say it is for the better, and the players seem to have taught it well, and new venues looking very good from the latest pictures, Mr. Bars.
Yeah. Yeah, we will do an online darts fantasy league again. I just need to set it up again. I just need to activate it from last year. But yes, we will have a fantasy league again. So that was that one. Right, what else have we missed, Boise? What else is on the list?
Coming up this weekend, in addition to the Pro Tours, we have an ADC event in Manchester, or 2 events in Manchester, I believe. And we also have the WDF Australian event starting on, I want to say Wednesday, but with time differences, I don't know if that's Wednesday or Thursday.
Have we had a draw yet for it?
We haven't had a draw, we've just got the seeds.
Right, okay. So we can't even...
So we've got obviously the 2 WDF invited players are Neil and Yella. And from the ladies, it's Bo and Kirsty. And then I believe they've invited Lisa as well as reigning champ.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, so there's the... And then ADC's in Manchester for 2 events.
Yeah.
And those 2 events, the winners of those qualify for Champion of Champions, which is only, 3 weeks away?
Yeah, the Red Dragon Champions of Champions.
I've seen some of the names. I've seen some of the names that have qualified for that. Obviously, that's been running since about mid-June. Some of the names that have qualified for that, that's going to be an absolute quarter of a tournament in Cardiff. And the format, just there's no let-off at all. It's the best of 3 old school news of the world.
To be fair, I absolutely love the best of 3 all the way through. It is absolutely cutthroat. And it just makes for... I would love a PDC tournament to do that. Just best of 3 all the way through it.
I wouldn't do best 3 all the way through. I'd do one leg of 1001. I'd do full-on cutthroat.
Yeah. But yeah, no, look, it's superb. Champions of Champions, Red Dragon. It's going to be at the depot in Cardiff. We will be there as always. The Australian, is it called the Australian Open? The WDF event?
Australian Darts Open, yeah.
No draw, so we can't give it to you, unfortunately. But the ADC stuff, again, nice to see another tour event. Their last one, I think it was was it Bristol, their last tour event, Wade? Looked very, very good on social.
Yeah. Seen Brown won one and
Dan Reed.
Dan Reed. Yeah, great show. Dan Reed won the other one. Steve Brown won day one and Dan Reed won day two. It'll be good to see, obviously, with the WDF in Australia. What it will mean is there's no clash with their tournament, so you should see more of the ADC, more of the WDF people who play those playing in the ADC, and it should make it an even better tournament. I think last time it clashed, which we didn't have throughout the year, but
no, I think next year.
It's good to have those. Oh, mate.
I was saying next year there's going to be clashes all over the place.
Yeah, we've come into this show tonight with little darts to review and a lot to preview. But then next weekend we've got ADC, WDF, we've got 3 Pro Tours, 2 qualifying events, a lot of players flying out to Australia for 2 different tournaments. It just shows how manic this sort of week's a nice little breather in the sense of we now hit it harder than with World Series, and then come September it's non-stop with Euro Tours, Pro Tours, Women's Series, and then you come into your Grand Prix and Grand Slam. So,
to be fair, I haven't seen any news on the Women's Series in Germany either. Last I heard, numbers weren't particularly great.
That's going to be the problem, unfortunately. You'd like to think that women's sport in generally, even more so in this country, is on a massive high. Darts in the women's games on a high after the match, playing how well perceived that was from all the countries that tuned in, that people would want to be part of that. And with the qualification for match play starting from this next event, hopefully those numbers will grow because people will want to be on that iconic stage. But there's no real surprise, unfortunately, that Germany uptake isn't as high as the English uptake. We see players talked about it on Pro Tour and Challenge Tour. It's a bit more difficult to get to. I've never been there. Have you been there, Phil?
Where is it in Germany? I've been to, I haven't been to Hildesheim. I've been to Niedenhausen. And yeah, look, the issue is, I think I said this last week, speaking to a good 7 or 8, if not more, of the ladies that have supported every event in the UK, their issue is they can't get home on the Sunday night and they can't get time off work on the Monday because of the professions they work in. They can't just book days off and things like that, where they all said that if they could guarantee they could get home on the on the Sunday night, they would have gone. It being in Germany isn't the issue. It's the fact they can't get home. And you look at the Challenge Tour in Germany? Again, I'm not saying this is feasible for the women, but it's maybe something to look at. That on the Sunday, they only did one event, one Challenge Tour event, so people could get home.
Yeah, it made sense, but I understand it. To them, they've got to grow that part of the game, and it's not just let's put everything in England, but the majority of the players who are currently entering these tours are based in England. So you would like to think if you point it around other countries, there's going to be a bit of uptake there, but I'm not convinced that it will be a great number. And I think it'll be something they'll reconsider next year. Because they need to make sure, even though they're increasing it to 24 events next year, that they make sure that those 24 events have got the maximum number that they can have throughout the year.
Look, do you think that the way they are trying to grow the ladies' game, that it would make more sense just to have them in England at the moment? I know that's not. I know that's harsh on the ones that have got to travel from continental Europe or from Asia. We've seen the Asian ladies travel. But when your nucleus and your core is so predominantly UK based, does it make more sense to have them here and grow it until the number from continental Europe picks up?
I just think they've got to look at what we've seen so far, take findings from what we've got so far, and they've had. Is this the second weekend that they've had in Germany this year? So it's just looking at those numbers and comparing them, because they need to grow that number first. So it might be something that they have to look at moving it to England predominantly, and then venturing out a bit further. And that might come if we have more women's events on TV. So there's more opportunities to qualify. But we saw from just the match play race, it was down to the wire. It went run to the last day. There's no reason why that can't happen again. So is that toss of a time of do players just put all their focus into the England events? I'm not sure they should bring them all here initially. I think they need to see how well they do this year and then take the findings from there to see what difference is it, how big the number is it in England compared to Germany.
Well,
I'm not sure where else in the world you can move it to.
Last can, I was told, this was a few weeks ago. So I think in every women's series in the UK so far, we've had over 100 entries. Last I heard, entries were only around 46 for Germany. That was a few weeks ago, so that could well have gone up.
Yeah.
But under half.
There's two parts to look at it. One, the numbers, and two, the numbers that are going. Let's say that increases by 20, and we're at about a 60 mark when that event happens. We also need to look at where are those 60 players from. Have we had a huge uptake from Germany, and that actually the sport is growing enough there, or is it actually that the players are coming over, that they are the ones who can do it? It's not a question of commitment, but can do it due to work, are flying over from whether it be England, Japan, or wherever in the world to play. Is it the same players that are coming from England? And if so, why wouldn't you just keep it based here? I'm not sure how many German-based players we had in the first event, but I'm not sure it's as high as the PDC would like.
Probably not. Without going through and looking at it, I agree with you. I'd say probably not.
And that's the biggest thing is it's all right growing the game, but if you're taking it to a part of the world where they're not competing, all it's then becoming is an inconvenience for all the players who are travelling to there, then it doesn't make sense. Then you stick to Barnsley and Wigan. Those are the only two at the minute. Barnsley and Wigan, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think there's been one in. I don't think there's been one in MK.
After that, MK or Tov isn't used.
Yeah,
Don't think.
No, look, it'll be interesting. Look, early indications. The numbers on watching on Sky were very good for the Women's World Match Play.
Good, very good. And like I said, that without delving off from darts, from an English perspective, what happened yesterday can only help promote lady sport generally. So hopefully that will see an increase around all sports and not just football.
Yeah.
With the follow-on of the match play, the weekend before, it's just shining the light on that even more, that hopefully those numbers will grow, and with those numbers growing, competition will grow and performance will increase.
Yeah, completely. You know, Tiz, lads, you know.
Standard, Tiz. Standard.
Yeah. But good one here as well. So, So the World Series events will be timed in Australia. So it will be like a 7 o'clock, 6:30, 7 o'clock start in Australia. In terms of TV, I haven't looked, but I'm guessing it's not live.
Well, I've also not looked. I can probably give you the answer. Considering we've had World Series events in Europe, and was there an hour difference, and we still didn't have them live? I've got a feeling in Australia they also won't be live. Keep saying Australia. It's New Zealand and Australia, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, Bob. Yeah, we know ITV Sport have the coverage, but it'll probably be delayed coverage. So it will be shown prime time delayed here, but would have already happened. Is the more Sweet Caroline? I hope not. Do you fancy Willock to win a World Series event down under? No. Capable, but I don't think he will.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'd probably expect Damon to win one more than I would Simon. How they played this year.
I know Philip's in the chat room. He's one of our biggest supporters. Genuinely, look, ladies darts in the UK is huge, isn't it, Boise? There's a real buzz around ladies darts in the UK. What is the situation? What's ladies darts like in Germany? Not at the top level, but just in general. What's it like? Because over here we obviously have a lot of ladies darts leagues and everything like that, and there's a fair buzz around it. It's just interesting to see how it compares in one of the hotbeds for darts.
Yeah, there's plenty of leagues locally, obviously Townsy, and then your events across the different organisations. So it is big and getting bigger, and that was highlighted. Hopefully, it wasn't just highlighted in the UK; it was highlighted around Europe and the world at how big women's darts can be.
No, Daniel, I'm not sure how many of the players are going to the qualifier. No, Harry, I'm not going to Oz. It's just can't justify the cost when priced it up. Flights alone were around the 10K mark, and that was just for flights. The price of travel at the moment is astronomical. It would have cost me more to do Australia than the deposit I've put down on my flat. Which, when you put it like that, it's a bit nuts, isn't it?
Yeah.
There are often some ladies' tournaments, but many of the women are not playing real competitive and aren't able to put the time. That's fair enough, mate. It's nice to know and nice to see where it all is in relation. All the players having a ceremony for Carl Anderson. I don't know, Bob. I will try and find out to see if there is anything planned. Obviously, the first time that the PDC have gone back to Australia since the sad passing of Kyle. So I would imagine there will be something. I don't know precisely what, but I would guess there will be something.
Yeah, just on that note as well, a huge shout out to Yellow Klassen with his little tribute to Tall on his sleeve in the live league last week. Not sure if you've seen it. It was a great tribute. I know we'd seen a few players have done it. Tory Hewish done it in the WDF Worlds. Obviously we saw, was it a Euro Tour event just after his passing? The tribute that the PDC done. So I'm sure they'll do something. For Tile.
Yeah. Right. Before we open up the chat room for questions, boys, have we missed anything? We probably have. Chat room, let us know if we've missed anything as well.
I can't think. I had a quick look through. I normally make a few notes down of either what's upcoming or more for the a week in darts, because obviously everything else is normally fully prepared. But I've ticked off mine with a ADC WDF that says Champion of Champions. I think the final qualifiers are this weekend or this week. And then PDC we've sort of covered off.
I love the fact that Tiz has literally been off the Love Island final for us as well. Big love, lads.
I feel like I've teased down as a huge Love Island fan, so I think he's binned it off, but he's probably then on +1 at 10.
To be fair, Tiz, you should apply for Love Island. You smash it, lads. Yes, Johnny, the seniors, very well done. I know we always miss something. There was.
I'm blaming you for that, as I didn't mention Jim earlier on. Part of the Pro Tour.
The Open event in Chilbottom near Alnwick, up in the northeast. Events won by Jim McEwen and Richie Howson. I had a quick look at the averages. There were some good darts thrown up in Chilbottom, Boise, from a seniors tour that is gathering pace. That these aren't the televised ones; these are the Pro Tours of them, so to speak. Some good stuff.
Yeah, it's building pace, and it certainly helps with the announcement of the field being extending for the World Championship, a 4th TV event next year, and all that would certainly help with getting players there. And we're seeing players like Richie Howson, who's committed to the seniors totally, and he's getting his just reward for it, picking up a title. Obviously, Jim McEwen, we've spoke about a lot on Monday nights, just how well that Jim can play. We see him in the live lead, and we've also seen him do it on the seniors tour and WDF tour. So no real surprise with the 2 winners, but some outstanding darts then across the weekend.
Yeah. Oh, completely. Yeah, some super stuff. Some big announcements coming as well around the seniors. It should be good. Robert says, is PDC German League still about? Yeah, they still do the German Super League every year. Home of the Lollipop Man. Wow. Tis, if they've said that, mate, I can understand your reason for turning it down, and every right to, lad. Zan says, wasn't there going to be a big new target signing? Yes, Gary Plummer teased it in an interview. There will be a brand new target signing coming.
Is that September?
Late summer. So I would imagine September, October at the latest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Robbo, these questions: should there be a World Grand Prix style tournament for the seniors or doubles event? 100% there should. 100% and for it.
Yeah, look, remember the seniors isn't even a year old yet, so baby steps. But look, if it continues to grow, look, I'm with you on that one. Is the Champions League in darts? No Champions League anymore. The tournament was made specifically for the BBC. What did it run for? 3 years, 4 years? Definitely 3, I think.
3, I think it done.
Yeah.
Because it used to be old school PDC where you won a session and you qualified through, didn't it? Then they stopped that and moved it to BBC. Was that Champions League?
I can't remember. It might have been the streaming one. Might have been called the Champions League as well, but the televised one was made for the BBC. I think they did it for 3 years. Was there one in Cardiff, one in Brighton, one in Leicester?
Leicester. Yeah, Leicester was the last one, I think.
Yeah, because MVG won the belt. Jake says, do you think Sky ITV will keep the rights?
There was four Champions League, 2 in Cardiff. Taylor and Mensah won in Cardiff, Ando won in Brighton, and as you well know,
I knew Ando won in Brighton, and MVG won in Leicester, because the one in Brighton, Matt Ward, I think, threw himself off Brighton Pier when Gary took out, was it 160 to beat MVG on the Sunday afternoon, which knocked Darrell out, I think. It was something like that anyway. Yeah, I'm sure it was something like that.
It's quite bad. I remember Mensah, Gary's win and Michael's win. Those were my 3. It's bad that I don't remember Phil Taylor beating MVG in the final of the other one.
140, I guess. Yeah, no, it was something. Gary took out something huge, which knocked Darrell out. So yeah, but going back to the Wrights, it's the same as in most sports. It will probably be whoever offers the most money. That's kind of how we see it these days. When you see for television rights, whether that's Champions League football, boxing, Premier League football, whoever coughs up the most dough will undoubtedly get it.
Good one from Tommy is the PDC calendar at its absolute limit. And I guess this probably needs to... I don't know what you've just thought.
Good evening, Matt. I can't repeat part of the message, but it was Matt's just confirmed it was 140 with something else.
Nice to see he's done over it. Yeah, I guess we've Tommy's question, PDC calendar at its limit. It's where we look at that. Is it on the main tour? Potentially. Challenge and development, then I think there's still opportunities.
I don't think the main tour is at its absolute limit yet, but I think it needs structuring better. Does that make sense? This year, where places were still in COVID and there were still issues at the start of the year, there's been a lot crammed. I think it could be structured better where tournaments are and everything like that.
Yeah, but I don't think you could add to what we've got. I think we are at probably a limit of how many tournaments we've got.
I think they will add to it.
For me, if they're adding, I don't think they should be adding. I think they should be looking at replacing with some that they've already got.
I still think in the next couple of years, there will be there'll be another 1 or 2 World Series events. And I think we'll see more Pro Tours move midweek to free up weekends for other stuff.
It's just how much of a detriment it has on some players. Because we talked about Dimmy, who's obviously he's comfortable in regards to rankings, but if you had more World Series events and Dimmy's a name who's in that mix more than some of the others, and we're now talking about him missing 3 Pro Tour events because of preparation for going to Australia and New Zealand for 3 weeks, how many tournaments does that need to extend to until he's in a position where he doesn't go to the World Series?
The problem is at the top end, the Pro Tour money doesn't make a significant dent in the rankings?
It doesn't, but it applies pressure for the rest of the tournaments if you've not played in, let's say, 8 of them across the year, then that pressure's applied in your TV tournaments.
It is, but we all know that we use Demi's example here. Demi would rather play more on TV because he comes alive. Well, alive's not the right word, but
He slows down.
I
get that, but if Demi's now, instead of being in the top 16, and this is only, like I says, you would still expect him to be in there till Christmas, but if it's then a conversation of Demi being 14th in the world or higher and playing in Pro Tour events, or he starts to dip outside the top 16, and we're only using Demi as an example because he's one of the ones who are not in the sort of selection, then for me it's more of a difficult conversation. Missing a couple of events doesn't seem to have a massive impact. It's missing, for someone in the position he's, it's if he's missing close to 10 throughout the year, and so are other players, then it can have a bit of a dent if you're not performing on TV.
Oh yeah, no, I get that, but I just think that the territories we're in, like for the World Series events, I think we could potentially see another one in North America and make it a double header in North America. So they go New York, then maybe up into Canada, something like that. As they're over there, that would make sense. I can also see them maybe going to South Africa again. And look, we all know it's not going to go down too well like it is in other sports. But the money in the Middle East, at some point, will come calling for darts. It will. And we all know that Matchroom already have a huge tie-up with the Middle Eastern region for boxing. So I can see there being events there.
Yeah, just needs to be conscious of the detriment it is to players. We spoke about Demi as an example. Another example for this sort of conversation is Fallon. Is because how key the women's series and the growth of the women's series is. We know that she's going to miss a couple. Luckily, has been able to secure a place in the slam by winning the match play. But if she wouldn't have won that final, then she would have potentially missed out on that. But because she's down to the World Series where she could have potentially taught Lisa. So, then she's missing a couple. It could be more if the World Series expands, where you're looking to grow. There's different elements of the PDC that are looking to grow, obviously, one of which is the world generally and the sport as a whole, but we're also looking to grow the women's game as well. So it needs to make sure there's no detriment to that.
Yeah, Robert says China. Yeah, look, I'm sure they'd love to go back into China because it's a huge, huge territory. So, yeah, I could see them trying to do it again. Look, it's going to be interesting. That's for sure. How they do it and like that is, yeah, interesting for that one. Right, we'll go into full blown question time. We'll have half an hour, and we will smash through some of your questions. As the last week, we haven't really managed to fit them all in. So get your questions in. Chat room has been absolutely on fire today so far. Remember, if you haven't, make sure you drop us a like on the stream as well. Massively appreciate all the support. So, World Championship tickets went on sale today as well, Boise, and early indications is they've flown out the door, literally.
Yeah, it's to be expected with the return of other countries being able to come over and watch it after we've had the past 2 years. There's no surprise that the tickets are going to sell well. It's on plenty of bucket lists. The amount of tweets and on Facebook and whatever today I've seen of people who've purchased tickets. It's going to be an interesting one, especially with the timing of it. Not as much with the World Championships, but with the World Cup of football taking place at the start. Well, the end of that done at the start of the World Championships, just to see how that clashes and what impact that has. But it always delivers. It's a venue that always delivers, similar to Blackpool. It always delivers. So tickets will sell, and I'm sure most sessions will. They'll just be interesting to see the clashes.
Well, Philip said it. He said, "What do you make of the World Championship schedule? Not too much adaptation for the Football World Cup." No, there's not. There's a few which are going to be horrific if you're there covering it. There's a few 8 o'clock starts in the evening and then 12 o'clock start the following day, which again, I believe they are, sorry to upset people in continental Europe, I believe the only changes have been done to potentially suit the England games. I may be wrong with that, but I think that they've been done around the England games.
From what I can see, both semi-finals have got that sort of move, and the final has got, and the final there's going to be a clash with the start of the football final and the third or fourth game on that afternoon, which I find a bit strange, but I don't know what much more to do about it, unless they move the final a couple more days on, but you just have more days midweek in the new year.
I'm not a fan of when the final is as it is now.
I don't mind.
Yeah, but you're only saying that because it's to do with football, but
To be honest,
the fact
it tends to land anyway, and for the dart heads or whatever you can call ourselves, the enthusiasts, you could put the World Championship final on Christmas Day, we'd tune in and watch it. You know, we would.
Oh, yeah, look,
so it doesn't matter in the sense.
Yeah,
will be. Yeah,
having looked at the date, so it's the 15th to the 3rd. The final is on Tuesday, the 3rd of January. This guy called the Godfather says, "Thoughts on Monday wedding? Cheapskates."
I used to be for them, but for some reason, I think it's cheapskates now. Yeah, I wouldn't go to one if I had an invite, even if I was best man. Not no more. That was old me.
To be fair, I didn't know this, but an interesting one from Bob says, with the EFL highlights on ITV4 on Sunday evenings, a problem for darts coverage on ITV later in the year?
Saturday evenings, Saturday 9 till 11, they are. I tuned in this week, so that's when I will know when there was. But 9 till 11, ITV4. Again, you would like to think they would utilise one of their other channels and just have multiple sports on the Saturday nights, but
instead of the 4th repeat of Midsummer Murder,
or Law and Order. Yeah. Weirdly, we can name quite a few of them, but I'm not sure what they will do. Change coverage times, not show it live. Oh, there we go, Mace. Football highlights will be on after the darts. Even better for me. I'm guessing when they're in. If it's on at 9 o'clock now, if the highlights move to 10 o'clock, darts tends to finish by 10, doesn't it, on ITV? It's normally 6 till 10.
Mace, whilst you're in the chat room, Players' Championships on one of the days Has the schedule been confirmed to what I was told at the weekend? You'll know what I mean by that.
Well, it's another one that clashes.
I can't remember. Is it the Friday or the Saturday that clashes?
There's just put 10 a.m. till 6 p.m. It is.
It confirmed that it's either the Friday or the Saturday. There won't be 2 sessions. It's going to be one long session. No breaks. Yeah.
I know what I'm looking at it now.
It's whatever day England play on one of those days.
Yeah, they play on the 20. They play on the. It's the Friday.
It's a Friday, yeah. I knew it was one of them.
Yeah.
8 hours of darts continuous.
8 hours of darts continuous, followed by a World Cup England game. I'm all for that.
Oh, there's going to be bodies all over my head at some point in that. Oh my god.
The only worry is for the people in my head is you tend to have a bit of a dip off crowd wise in the main venue atmosphere in the early parts of Saturday, and then Sunday same then. That Saturday afternoon could be a bit quiet after people have had 8 hours of darts, and then a huge drink for England USA.
Oh,
However, I wouldn't mind watching it in my head on the big screen. The atmosphere in there would be pretty awesome.
Oh yeah, the atmosphere. To be fair, how good would it be actually if they put all the seats out and just put it on all the screens in the main arena? That would be quite good, to be fair.
The good thing is, I'm guessing for all of the ITV crew mates included, is it's the Players' Championships and not the UK Open. To splitting that Friday into one day and having a draw 4 hours into play would be manic. At least with the Players' Championships, it's already pre-drawn and you know who's going to play what, but I can't see it falling nice for the players.
No. That's going to be nuts. Oh, sweet. May says that's what's happening. They're going to put the football on all the screens in the main arena.
The state of mine.
Absolute scenes. Oh, that's going to be nuts. Absolute carnage. No, looking forward to that. That'll be decent. Yeah. Right. Back to the darts. Continue to get your questions in, carnage. Yeah, absolutely. By the way, anyone that's not been out, Cardiff is still a decent night out.
When's the Champs? 3 weeks.
Last weekend in August.
Oh, 27. Bank holiday weekend.
Yeah.
That's convenient.
Ooh, how convenient. Well, we went out after the exhibition on Saturday night. It was decent.
I've seen a picture from you, maybe.
Yeah.
Good question, Philly. For you, Philip,
what?
in the chat room.
Which
Streams for the next. Streams for the next. Well, not 5 days. We'll do 3.
Not 5 days, 3, possibly 4. Philip, we will definitely do the 3 Pro Tours, and maybe we might do something for the World Series qualifier. But yeah, certainly, I'm just waiting for confirmation we may have a guest host to start off on Wednesday because I can't get on till about 3 o'clock because I'm directing at the Live League. But yeah, no, we'll, definitely the Pro Tour streams will be on 100%. Any more coming out from Gavin and Stacey? Maybe one more. We'll see. But was there an auction? You know, Big Johnny. So yeah, just coming up as well. While some more questions come in, Boise. What are you looking forward to most coming up darts wise?
I always love the Grand Prix. Huge fan of the Grand Prix. I know we've still got a couple of months to wait for that. That just after, I can't put the Premier League in my top mitts. So after Worlds and match play, the next two under that for me, the UK Open and Grand Prix. So I'm really looking for Grand Prix, and it's not too far from me. So I'm sure I'll come and pay you a visit in Leicester one night or two, Mr. Bars. And then it is just the excitement of, I know someone's mentioned there about the Tortard race, but it's even looking at some of the Pro Tours and just looking at the battles we're going to see like over the next 3 days when some of them back out. Nice, is that confirmed? Slam back to Civic?
Hopefully next year, that's the plan.
I wasn't saying it's not this year, is it?
No, this year it's still Aldersley.
I'd love to get excited about the Slammer then. But for me, the Slam's got to change its criteria of qualification. I love the old school way of the Slam working, and I think there's a way to allow invited players in there, but it has to then be a non-ranting event, and unfortunately, I'm not sure that will happen. Same question for you, Phil. Next couple of months, what's your standout?
Next couple of months, what am I looking forward to? Budapest Euro Tour. Because that arena was unreal last year, and I think if it sells like it did last year and the atmosphere is the same, I think there is something else destined to go there because it was too big for a Euro Tour. It was so good, and I just think that maybe that's being used and looked at for something else. What else am I looking forward to? Look, I love the Grand Slam. So probably that's my ones. Dan, I actually agree with that one. 8 qualifiers for the Grand. I don't like 8 qualifiers for the Grand Slam. I agree. The only change I'd make massively for the Grand Slam, and I think it has to happen because it's shit at the moment, is the way that you shouldn't be able to play whoever you played in your group until the final, not the quarters the way it is.
I agree with you on that. That's not the biggest change. The biggest change for me is still the qualifying criteria. I just don't buy into the qualifying criteria. For me, if you've won something, there's not enough winners to fill that 32 up, even if you class Pro Tour winners normally. I think there should be an opportunity there that if you've won, there's some set criteria of how you fall into it. There shouldn't be that many qualifying on a one-off day. We see some players who come in and they're just not to the same level. Yeah, they've qualified through winning that day, but still, I think 8 qualifiers is way too much. 2, maybe. 4 as an absolute push. 2 would be the case for me, and the winners of the rest of it. I agree with your quarter-final shout, but the qualifying criteria, something needs to change in that tournament, because since you've removed the BDO players or the invited players from another organisation, or everyone you want to call it, just keeping it as it is and just changing that criteria slightly. I'm not as excited as I used to before that tournament. I love the little group stage, but
Philip's put a twist on the group stage here, and I like this. Big shout out there, Philip. I like this. Introduce the draw to the group stage.
I'm not opposed to that.
I like that. That's a funky little twist.
Best to 8.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a fan of that.
The thing is, it's produced some great moments, like the most recent one. I kept reminding you of in Blackpool, Phil, was obviously the Fallon moment against Gabriel Clemens, but the tournament does, and that short group stage format does produce some great moments. But unfortunately, a lot of the time it's with the same players that we've seen meet. So I would love to see other organisations involved. How they do that, I'm not too sure exactly. But and that's the other one. I know someone mentioned it in the group. Just the jump, how you can go from your group stage of being first to 4, and then is it best to 19 or best to 21 in the next game? It's a huge jump. But yeah, I'm certainly not opposed to the draw.
Yeah, with you on that one. What else have we got? Philip also says, I always love the race for the European Championships. The last Euro Tour event, yeah. And I think it'll be a little bit fairer this year. Obviously, last year with only 2 Euro Tour events, it wasn't the best, and players were having their say on it. At least with a full Euro Tour, it'll be interesting this year.
Yeah, last year was a bit messy, but it's in full swing with what you probably needing about 15k maybe.
Yeah,
Derby's only 32nd on 10k.
Yeah, but yeah, between 15 and 17 will probably get you in. More majors in Exeter. Yeah. I think Exeter's days are numbered. And on that, Bristol needs a TV tournament. That we all think that we don't know, but the logical one is that I think the Premier League will go to Bristol once their new arena opens, because it's going to hold more fans. It's a modern one and everything like that. The Grand Prix is in Leicester, Bob, not Swansea. And the reason it's been moved from the City West this year is because the City West is being used by the Irish government to host Ukrainian refugees. So it's not available for use. That's why the Grand Prix is in Leicester this year. Phil, is Gary any good at fishing? Yes, he is. Very good fisherman. He's got his own lake as well, so he should be good. Kieran, Amsterdam. Yeah, Amsterdam is very good for darts. The AFAS Arena is very, very good as well. Noisy, loud.
Amsterdam's just very good. All of Amsterdam.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the Amsterdam's fantastic city. Is there a case of darts is just darts and keeping it simple because I know what people are getting, although I don't enjoy a mix-up. City West going to hold the Ukrainian qualifiers up, Johnny. But yeah, interesting to see. I'm interested to see what they do next year as well, Boise. Do you think we'll get a massive change to the schedule next year? Or do you think it'll be similar and then it'll be the year after we see any changes that they look to bring in?
Yeah, year after. It's quite easily forgotten about how fast darts has moved in regards to everything's back up and running. We talked about how many tournaments they've got, but not only the back up and running just based in the UK or all the Milton Keynes, it's back all around the world and how big it is. The sport's going to continue to grow. I just think they'd probably give it one more year of it is as it is. I'm not saying there won't be a small tweak here and there, but sort of as is. And then it would be the following year where if any of those changes come into place, like moving to Pro Tours or anything like that, I think that would be in 2024, not next year.
Yeah. Philip, normally the calendar comes out late September, early October. So I'm hoping it'll be back to normal and around that sort of time. I've never been to one in Belgium, mate, so I'm not sure. Which tournaments would you go to if the PDC? Which tournaments would go if the PDC were to cut down on events? Is that we'll do it from a personal point of view. What event? What if you could get rid of one event from the calendar, Boise? What are you getting rid of?
If it keeps the same format as it does right now, the World Cup.
Yeah, right now the calendar as it is, you have to get rid of one tournament. What are you getting rid of?
Probably the World Cup, because I don't like its current format. I enjoyed 2 days of the World Cup, and then unfortunately it sort of dies off a little bit. If it changes, which hopefully it is going to, what would I get rid of? The Masters. It's now got a relevance, but prior to that, it didn't really. And
well, off the back of that, I'll do my.
I think right now, Phil, if you asked anyone else what tournament they'd get rid of, let's say if we asked Danny Noppers, he would get rid of the Masters because he'd have more chance of being in the Premier League instead of the winner of that.
Sarah in the chat room also says, do you think they'll expand the Masters field to 32 next year?
And those two I've mentioned, if there was changes or there was more in there, then maybe. I don't think they'll extend it to 32. I think the extension of 24, which was what? Last year? Was it the year before? Year before, wasn't it, when Johnny won it?
Yeah.
So 2. I don't think that'll go up to 32 yet. I wouldn't be surprised if it does. Then that might be one of the changes 2024. Back to your tournament, Mr. Bars.
Right, what would I get rid of? The World Cup at the moment would be on the list, I agree.
Just from a viewing perspective. Players' Championship.
Finals. I don't like it.
I'd rather the Players' Championship than I would the Masters.
One event at Minehead's enough for me.
I see that. It's probably next after the two I've had, but it's only because I'm struggling then with any other event.
No,
I don't mind the Players' Championship. I'm not going to lie. I'm looking forward to, and this isn't because of the football side of it. I'm now looking forward to 8 hours straight. Now that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Not for you, but it will be for the viewer.
I get why the Players' Championship finals are there, and look, it probably is great. But out of the other tournaments, I like the variation in them better. I like the European Championships. I like the Slam. I like the Grand Prix because it's different. It's double in. So I just think that the Players' Championship finals, it's just the same as what we see on others. That's why I could do without it.
Yeah, it's not on mine. It's not in my list, but it would only come in once I'm having to force another tournament out.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's just that I like other tournaments over the Players' Championship finals. Do you think the Premier League fixtures need to be fixed up? I don't like the way the Premier League fixtures were done this year.
Yeah.
The fact that Gezi, Peter, and Michael, I don't think were ever in the same half of the draw, and things like that.
It's easy to look at sort of blindsided and look at the fact that everyone plays each other twice. But if you look deeper than that, correct.
Yeah. Look, that's not a coincidence that they weren't in the same half. But I'll tell you what, Boise, considering you were worried about we had to fill 2 hours, we have absolutely romped through it tonight. I'll tell you what, how good has tonight been?
The worry is because we tend to spend an hour and 15 probably on average reviewing the previous week, and we've had a lot to talk about, but no actual dart. It's a bit like talking about a transfer window in football, but you haven't actually seen any football. It's a bit like that show. You've reviewed stuff that have happened, but nothing actually has happened on the hockey. But yeah, it's flew by. That's probably the best analogy I've ever done. Repeat that one.
Right. It's been superb. Everyone, give yourself a huge round of applause. Remember, the live league returns tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. live on Sporty Stuff TV and our YouTube channel. Mace in the commentary box, as always, doing a stellar job. Like we said, we will be streaming definitely Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, maybe something on Saturday for the World Series final, as well for World Series final qualifier as well. So hang with us, but plenty of darts coming up. First of all, I say, Philip, thank you very much. Kieran, superb as always. Without you guys interacting, we wouldn't be doing it. It's gone quite quick without Gob. Well, I didn't want to say that.
I've made my thoughts clear in the chat. Don't worry about that.
With his vodka Monday weddings. But no, everyone, thank you very, very much indeed. We will return for the live lounge next week, and God will be back, no doubt, telling us how great Monday weddings are, but we're not having that. There he is, he pops up. So yeah, he's got signal to jump in the chat room, isn't he?
I can only assume his missus is very happy that he's been listening.
Good night, Laura and Maisie. Hope you had enjoyed the show. As always, thank you, Philip. Right, we have been on Nine Darts. I'm in Phil Bars. Lee boys, that is us signing out for the day, and we will see you all next week as the trio return.